Join me as I take on the challenge of reading people like a pro, using the principles of Stoic philosophy. Imagine being able to understand what someone's thinking without them saying a word. That might sound impossible, but with Stoic philosophy as our guide, it's entirely possible. You don't need to be a mind reader. What you need is awareness of human behavior, emotions, and reactions. By tapping into the teachings of Stoicism, you can gain insights into the minds of others without them ever needing to speak. In today's fast-paced world, filled with superficial communication and distractions, it's easy to miss the signs right in front of you. But the Stoics, particularly Marcus Aurelius and Seneca, teach us to observe. This isn't magic. It's the power of observation, and it gives us a remarkable advantage. We all have that innate desire to connect, to understand what others are thinking, especially in relationships, business, or even casual encounters. But here's the truth. Most of what people communicate is nonverbal. Their body language, tone of voice, and emotional responses often reveal more than their words ever will. The Stoics understood this well. They taught that by observing actions, rather than just listening to words, we could see a person's true intentions. You might wonder why it matters to read minds. The Stoics would say it's not about control or manipulation. It's about clarity, understanding others so you can respond wisely and live in harmony. After all, clarity leads to better decisions and healthier relationships. People are complex. We wear masks, hide behind smiles, or sometimes say what we don't mean. It's in this complexity that the challenge lies. How do you strip away these layers? How can you understand someone's thoughts without their words? This is where Stoicism comes in. Marcus Aurelius famously said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What people focus on and what they fear shapes their behavior." By paying close attention to the patterns of their actions and reactions, you begin to see the deeper truths about who they are. But here's where the real Stoic challenge begins. It's not about judging them for these behaviors. It's about understanding them without attachment, without letting their emotions pull you into a reactive state. The key to reading minds lies in observation. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." This tells us that people's behavior is often rooted in their internal fears and anxieties. They project their insecurities into the world around them. When someone's overly defensive, it's likely because they feel threatened. When someone seeks validation constantly, they might be insecure. And this is something the Stoics emphasized, understanding without judging. Take Marcus Aurelius again. He would remind himself every morning that he would encounter difficult people. His practice wasn't to confront them, but to observe. To listen without getting lost in the drama of their behavior. You can do the same. In your interactions, practice quiet observation. Notice how people's reactions reveal their inner world. Here's where the magic starts to happen. Instead of trying to force communication, you allow people to reveal themselves. Start by focusing on small things, the way someone reacts to a challenge, how they treat those beneath them, or their emotional responses in tough situations. This is where the truth lies. For example, when someone hesitates before answering, that moment of silence often says more than their words. Or, when someone avoids eye contact during a conversation, it's likely a sign of discomfort or avoidance. It's in these subtleties that you begin to understand their mind. Stoicism teaches us to listen without reacting. By simply being present, you give people the space to expose their true selves. The less you interfere, the more you learn. This is your tool for reading minds: patience, observation, and silence. One of the most revealing moments in a conversation is right before someone speaks. If you watch closely, you'll notice that people often hesitate, even if just for a fraction of a second. That hesitation can tell you everything. I remember learning from Epictetus that our first reaction isn't always the most genuine. He said, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." It's in those pauses that we can truly start listening, not to the words, but to the emotions behind them. When someone hesitates before answering a difficult question or responding to something challenging, they're filtering their thoughts, perhaps deciding how much to reveal or what to withhold. In that brief silence, they're wrestling with their true feelings, and if you're observant, you'll catch it. I've learned to wait, to sit with the silence, and that's where the truth often lies. Another powerful tool that Stoicism has taught me is to watch for emotional reactions and body language. Seneca once wrote, "The body reveals the emotions of the soul." We often think that words are our main form of communication, but our bodies betray us more than we realize. I've found that when people cross their arms or avoid eye contact, it's a sign of discomfort or defensiveness. But the key isn't just noticing the action, it's noticing the emotion behind it. Is the person feeling threatened, insecure, or maybe even guilty? Their body language gives it away long before their words do. I've learned that if you stay calm and grounded, like the Stoics teach, you'll be more attuned to these signals. The more I've practiced this, the more I've been able to understand people's emotional states without them ever telling me. It's incredible how much is communicated through a simple gesture or facial expression. This one sounds a bit strange, but trust me, it's effective. Instead of asking people outright how they're feeling or what they're thinking, I've learned to ask silent questions. Let me explain what I mean by that. When I'm in a conversation, I'll ask myself, what is this person feeling right now? What are they afraid of? What are they not saying? By asking these questions silently and observing closely, you'll start to notice things you wouldn't have seen otherwise. This approach is rooted in Stoic mindfulness, being fully present in the moment, without being distracted by your own thoughts or reactions. When I learned to let go of my own judgments and instead focus fully on the other person, it became easier to pick up on their inner state. Marcus Aurelius emphasized this when he said, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. If your thoughts are distracted or scattered, you'll miss what's right in front of you. But if you're focused and mindful, you'll begin to read people in ways that will surprise you." One thing I've noticed is that people don't just reveal their thoughts in isolated moments. It's the patterns of behavior over time that tell the full story. Stoicism teaches us to be patient, to observe without judgment, and to notice what's consistent in someone's actions. For example, if someone consistently avoids difficult conversations or changes the subject when something emotional comes up, that tells me they're avoiding vulnerability. If they often react defensively when challenged, it reveals insecurity. These patterns are like breadcrumbs. They lead you to understanding someone's deeper motivations and fears. The Stoics taught us the value of patience. Seneca said, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." I've realized that patterns emerge most clearly when someone is under stress or in a challenging situation. It's in these moments that their true character shows itself, and this is where you learn the most about them. This might be the most counterintuitive technique, but it's also the most powerful. Silence is one of the best tools I've discovered for reading people. When you stop talking, when you resist the urge to fill the silence, people start to reveal themselves. It's fascinating how uncomfortable silence makes most people. They rush to fill it with words, often saying more than they intended. I've found that if you simply remain silent after someone says something, they'll often keep talking, offering more details or clarifying their thoughts without you having to ask anything. This technique ties into one of my favorite Stoic ideas, letting go of the need to control every conversation. As Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Silence is a form of non-reaction. It's a way to let the other person come to you, to reveal more of themselves. The more I've practiced this, the more I've realized how much people give away when you simply allow them the space to talk. Another powerful Stoic technique is mirroring. It's a subtle and often unconscious act that happens between people. When you mirror someone's behavior, body language, or even their tone of voice, you create a sense of connection, and in that connection, people feel more comfortable revealing their true selves. I've tried this in situations where I needed to understand someone without directly questioning them. When I mirror their body language, like leaning back when they do or nodding as they speak, it creates a sense of rapport. And as they relax, they begin to open up more. Marcus Aurelius taught us to stay composed and neutral, yet adaptable. The soul becomes that which it contemplates, he said. Mirroring taps into this idea. It allows you to subtly blend with the other person's emotional state. The more you can reflect their mood, the more likely they are to trust you and reveal what's truly on their mind. In conversations, I've learned that what's directly said often hides what's really meant. When people are uncomfortable or unsure of how to express themselves, they'll cloak their true meaning in vague statements. This is where reading between the lines becomes crucial. There was a time when I had a conversation with a friend who kept repeating that everything was fine, but I could sense that something was off. I realized I needed to pay attention to the subtleties. When someone says something over and over with no conviction, there's usually a hidden meaning beneath. Stoicism has taught me to listen for what's behind the words. Seneca once said, "The greatest remedy for anger is delay," meaning, take a step back and analyze before reacting. That's exactly what I did. Paused, listened, and discovered my friend wasn't fine at all. This technique is about not taking everything at face value. It's about listening for the contradictions, the pauses, the emotional shifts. By doing so, I've often uncovered the deeper truth behind what's being said. One of the most revealing ways to understand someone's mind is by watching how they react to vulnerability, either yours or their own. I've noticed that when I open up and share something personal or sensitive, people's responses tell me far more about their character than their everyday conversations. Stoicism has taught me the importance of controlling my emotions, but it's also taught me the value of vulnerability in the right context. When you share something genuine, the way people react can be incredibly telling. If they seem uncomfortable or try to steer the conversation away, it may be because they struggle with their own vulnerability. On the other hand, if they lean in, if they offer support or share their own experience, it shows that they're open, empathetic, and willing to connect. This technique is delicate but powerful. When you show vulnerability, you often get raw, unfiltered reactions. It strips away the masks people wear and lets you see their true self. And that's where real connection and real understanding begins. People have a habit of repeating the things they're preoccupied with, even if they don't realize it. I've noticed this pattern often, and it's become one of my most reliable techniques for understanding what's on someone's mind. If someone brings up the same concern or topic multiple times, even in different conversations, it's a sign that this issue is weighing heavily on them. I've experienced this firsthand. A colleague of mine, who seemed content on the surface, kept bringing up little frustrations about their job during our casual conversations. Over time, I realized these weren't just passing complaints. This was a reflection of their deeper dissatisfaction. The repetition revealed their true state of mind. The Stoics remind us to listen deeply, not just to what's said once but to what keeps returning. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul is dyed by the thoughts it repeats." If you hear someone circling back to the same topic, it's because it's on their mind constantly. Pay attention to these repetitions. They're windows into the thoughts they aren't openly sharing. But here's the danger. We often assume we know what people are thinking. Misinterpretation is one of the greatest risks. This is where the Stoic principle of non-attachment is crucial. Epictetus warned us not to jump to conclusions. Don't let your assumptions cloud your observations. Instead, let each interaction unfold naturally, without forcing your opinions or interpretations onto it. When you misread a signal, don't react harshly. Instead, reflect. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I approach this person with more understanding? Reading minds isn't about being right, it's about insight. It's about getting closer to the truth without judgment. When you practice these Stoic principles, you'll start to see patterns. You'll notice when someone's confidence is a mask for insecurity, or when someone's anger is rooted in fear. These revelations allow you to navigate relationships more smoothly. Instead of reacting to surface-level emotions, you'll see the deeper story unfolding beneath. This insight gives you clarity, and with clarity comes power. Not the power to control others, but the power to remain calm and centered in any situation. You'll understand that people's actions are often reflections of their inner turmoil, and you won't be swayed by it. This is the real reward of Stoicism, freedom from emotional entanglement. As you move forward, the real test is applying these Stoic observations in everyday life. Whether it's with family, friends, colleagues, or even strangers, every interaction becomes an opportunity to practice. Notice the small cues, how someone's tone changes, how their posture shifts, how their eyes reveal discomfort. These are the subtle signs that tell you more than words ever could. When you embrace the Stoic approach, you'll find that you no longer need to ask direct questions. The answers are already there, hidden in plain sight. You just need to observe. And by observing, you'll understand people more deeply, connect with them more authentically, and remain grounded in every situation. So, how do you read minds without asking a single question? The answer is simple: through Stoic observation. By remaining calm, detached, and observant, you'll gain insights into others' thoughts, emotions, and motivations. This practice not only helps you understand others, but also deepens your own emotional resilience. Marcus Aurelius taught us that true power comes from within. When you master your own mind, you begin to see the minds of others more clearly. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. If this video inspired you to master the art of observation and connect with others on a deeper level, leave a comment below and share your experience. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to join our growing Stoic community. Together, we're learning to live with wisdom and purpose.